Testing. 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 Testing.
Hi, I was just told that you guys were coming up here and I said, I'm not sure I'm gonna do that. And I just asked Tatiana and she said the same thing. And I'm like,
Oh, there we go. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It looks like it's 3:06 in the afternoon. Are there any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions.
I have a question though about that. When do we set new meeting dates for next year? Should we have had that on the agenda today?
Is there a meeting in December?
Oh, this is November.
Yeah, we got one more month.
We can have a meeting.
Usually not.
Reschedule in front of me. I only have my 22 schedule.
Sometimes it's good to look backwards. Say
Um,
20.
yeah, right.
I look to see. Anything scheduled.
Right.
Normally be on January.
Could we
We could do it first thing, the first.
meeting in
item.
January?
Yeah, first meeting
Okay.
in January.
Okay, great. And then if you make a note, we'll also have to elect our officer for the following year. We could do that in January.
We can do that as well.
Okay, great. So let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Lou?
Pledge allegiance.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Is there any public comment today? Seeing and hearing none. Move on to the public session. You've received the minutes of the board meeting for, before we go to public session. Let me just say that Artemio let me know that he couldn't be here today because they're having an event across the street with the city. And that ties to a reason why the city staff couldn't be here to talk about what the update on the plans for downtown are, because they've been involved all day with some committees or something that have been here in town. So that's why Artemio's not here, and I haven't heard from Joetta, but we have 3, so we have a quorum. Okay, a public session. We have the minutes in front of us for the meeting of September 25th. There's any question?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay,
Well, I missed the last meeting, so.
I-
Guess there's no.
okay. It's procedurally seconded. Any comment from the audience? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, approval of the minutes. The treasurer's report.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. We have in front of you, we have a statement of assets and liabilities ending 11/27/23, 61,865.84. It balances with our bank statement, which we added $2.71 in interest last month. And there were no transactions.
Okay,
So we are in balance.
great. You want to move for approval of the treasurer's
Yeah,
report?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay, any other questions about the treasurer's report? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we just have some reports and updates today. And first we have our Christy is here from the county. She applied for a library grant to expand and innovate the whole old library and connect it to the new library. Wow. But unfortunately, she didn't get it 2 times in a row. So we'll have to try that again. But anyway, but she did come today because the library is doing very exciting things for downtown, and our attempt to get more people, more boots on the ground in our downtown area. So she's going to share her annual report today and what's going on over at the library. So thank you for coming over, Christy.
Thank you, uh, Chair and members of the board. Goodness, I'm at that age where I can't read
You're not
Can't-
that old.
with the glasses on and can't see with them off. So, yes, I regret to inform everyone that unfortunately, we did not receive the Building Forward grant as we'd hoped. We had received it last year for our North Fork Library, which I'm thrilled about because of all of our facilities, that's the one that definitely needs the most love. So we're looking forward to that. But as far as the Madera project we had in mind, it's a not right now because we didn't receive the grant, but I'm keeping my ears open and my eyes peeled. And there are some other options I'm looking into, nothing formal at this time, but I know the USDA once in a while has grants for rural communities and things like that, that I think we should keep in mind for this project. I don't want to give up on the project. I think it's a great vision for the community.
Great. And then you have the county looking also?
I imagine
Your
so,
county
yeah.
staff? Okay.
Tristan is really good at
Yes.
keeping an eye out for things, yeah, and he's
Okay.
aware of the project too.
Great.
Yeah. So this is just our annual report of what happened last year in July 22 to June 23. Just some highlights. I won't read the whole thing to you, but we had a very generous gift from First Five Madera County that enabled us to update the furniture and manipulatives and things for children in all of our branches. So we're very grateful for that. It really gave a facelift to some of our spaces. We have a library of things coming soon in 2024. This is a circulating collection of items. We did a survey in all of our communities in English and Spanish to find out what would be relevant for people, what they would like to see us offer. And from that, it broke down into 4 categories, which were arts and crafts, musical instruments, science and technology, and yard games. And so they're all in my office right now, but we have guitars and a musical keyboard and crochet kits, knitting, learn to knit kit, telescopes and microscopes, and things like bocce ball and pickleball kits that people will be able to check out and use and then return from all of our branches. So yeah, it's really
That's an
exciting.
interesting concept.
Yeah, other libraries around the country have been doing this and have been having a good response. The one consideration obviously is liability. And so we're starting off low key with things that don't have a lot of liability. Other libraries even circulate pressure washers and carpet cleaners and things like that, which I can see if something you don't want to buy, but you could use once in a while and get a good use out of. So we'll see how it goes with the lower risk items and then move forward from there. The other thing I'm really excited about is we just installed our first story walk in Madera County over at Courthouse Park. And this is 15 signposts. Joe and his team did a great job putting them out there.
Mhm.
And each signpost has 2 pages of a children's picture book on it. And it's our first one is I Need a Hug by Aaron Blaby, and it's in English and Spanish. And it's a little porcupine that really wants a hug, and nobody wants to hug him because he's so prickly. And so the families can read the story together as they walk along the path. So
As you're saying that, Mr. Poitras looking at.
no.
Krista, I was just in New Zealand,
Ooh.
and while I was there, we walked from our hotel across the park to the city center, as they say, the CBD, Central Business District. Walked through the park and I saw this pedestal, and it had like a page of a book on it. And then I nosed around a little bit and realized it was a whole storybook laid out across the park.
Exactly, yeah.
I thought, I'm taking a picture so I can tell her when I get home. And I no sooner got home and saw that you already had one in the park. So
We
you're
just
cutting
got it
edge.
out there just now, but
I know.
yeah, it is something that's taken off.
What a great, they're great ideas. It
Yeah.
causes a parent to walk around with the child and look at the book and, have a nice time in the park. And
Is this something
Exactly.
you can access with a cell phone app, or is it self-explanatory stations?
It's self-explanatory once you get there. The hardest part is figuring out which sign to start with, but we have numbers on each of the signs. So it starts at the 6th Street corner there, the back of the park, and leads up towards the museum. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's, the purpose is to bring experiences with literacy outside of our walls and to make us in the community more accessible. But the last signpost also has a encouragement there to now come visit the library and get your free library card and check out more books we have to offer.
Very good. Very good.
Beyond that, we're also working with the Madera County Arts Council to create an agreement so that we can have a regular exhibit in the library here in Madera of local artwork. So I'm excited about that also.
Great.
And I think that's all I have. Are there any questions for me or any ideas or comments?
How do you get the word out about what's happening or link to other groups that are having things downtown, or, how do you get the word out about what's happening at the library?
Yeah, that's a great question. We rely a lot on social media, but we know doing that we're limited to just who's following us there. Although we have a lot of people that share our information too. I think the story walk, when we posted about that, was shared over 30 times, which is exciting. We also do paper flyers in the library and sometimes outside of the library also. And then we have a good inside track on our Friends of the Library that we have someone from the Madera Tribune that's also a friend of the library. And so she's good about getting things in the newspaper for us too.
Great. I wish Mrs. Fleet was here today. The school district Madera Unified has these family resource programs in virtually all the schools. Are you linked in with them at all?
I'm not sure about that. We can
Okay.
check.
They have like a whole person in charge of it
Oh, wow.
at the district office.
Great.
And they have their parent education and resource centers for parents. And I think that would be a good way to get advertisement out and flyers and information out to get them connected to the library. They could come in, you could go do presentations for them. But they seem to be a fairly active group of parents who are interested in trying to promote literacy and education. So you might be able to hook in there to get your word.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your great work. Appreciate it.
Wow,
Thank
this
That's
is
you.
really-
Thank you for your
Really good, and
support.
it's really a good annual report. I really like it. Thank you.
People don't, they take for granted, there's a library and there's books in it, and they don't really pay much attention to what else is going on. So
Right.
getting this kind of pictures and stuff out, maybe even in the Tribune or anywhere, be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And the credit for all that goes to my wonderful team as well, and our support from our administration.
Great. Thanks for coming over.
You.
Okay, item number 2 is the Madera mural. At the last meeting, you may recall, okay, you weren't here. At the last meeting, we talked with a person who had an artist who was willing to do a mural as an entry into downtown, one of those Madera mural.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on the video.
Yeah, okay. And hello?
Sorry.
Anyway, so this board decided to follow up with that and see if we could get an exact drawing, a rendering, and get a location. So Nick Salinas found the location, the entry building where Raoul's barbershop used to be. That building there, that owner is willing to donate his space. So that's a start. But we've had tremendous trouble getting in contact with the potential artist, which makes Nick and I think that maybe we need to expand our hunt. So I went and talked to Jim Core at the Arts Council. They just did a call for muralists for the freeway signs. They helped with the call for artists for the Hope sign for Casa. So he's going to help us get a call for artists to do a mural. And maybe we can get several different offers, and then we can work with the design and see what we want to have. specifically, but I'm afraid if we wait for this guy, it just might not happen.
I mean, there's got to be just, all kinds of people out there who would like to, participate in this project. So I
Mhm.
agree. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, then we can get going on it. The Hope mural got us a lot of spin. And it was used in the Madeira, Welcome to Madeira thing this year. And so it's got a lot of spin on it. And I think it's another reminder to the city that they want to do something downtown. Oh, those are helpful. So anyway, so you're going to get some help from the Arts Council to try to move that project forward. Item number 3 is the Clean California grant. That's the murals that are going to go on the freeway. If you've been following that, the murals have been chosen. All of those have been chosen now. And now it's up to us to find a company that's going to make the frames for all of that and get the installation done. So the Arts Council is working on finding someone who can help us work through that little process to finalize the freeway murals. So we found out that Caltrans is good on ideas and maybe even giving out money, but the follow through they expect others to do, but it doesn't always get written down. So anyway.
Well, you think about Caltrans and it's a little bit out of their, thing as far as, their engineering projects and repairing roads and things of that sort, but
Right.
maybe they just don't have that kind of, artistic type of mindset or whatever.
Right. I think they learned a lot in this process.
Right.
Well,
It's all brand new to them
but you
too.
you have to have somebody who's going to do that piece of it. You're going to have 5 pieces. Make sure you've got somebody doing. Get to the end, and the city is looking at the Arts Council. The Arts Council's looking at the city and it's going, who's going to do this? I thought it was Caltrans. Anyway, we're getting that under control. So
Good.
hopefully we'll get those things installed. And then item 4. I wished I could show you today. That's the Caltrans diet plan because we didn't get the city here. The plan again is to redo Main Street in 2025. That's when the actual reshaping of the Yosemite would happen. And the county and the city just applied for a grant to work on the corner of Yosemite and E Street, where the building burned down, that empty lot. They own that. They're looking to buy the church that's behind it, that building. Then they'll have that whole block in there and to come up the rest of that 5th Street in there to make sure that's all cleaned up. So 5th Street's going to look pretty good. And then they want to move over and clean up the alley that we've been talking about. So they included the alley for the first time in one of their grant projects. And did you get the photos? Can you pop those up? They included samples of what they're thinking of an alley work. This is these are pictures like we've seen before, but it's the first time they've actually generated. So they have lights, they have places to sit, restaurants along the side of the street, and places for people to walk. As I mentioned, I was just in New Zealand, and I can tell you every single town does this. I brought pictures home with me because there were so many that were doing this kind of thing. There's one other, I think. You can see murals on buildings, paintings, very typical. There's one, put the Madeira sign there.
We're
So-
calling it an alley, but it looks like an old European.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of what they look like.
So this is like so this would be like in Europe someplace or but it does look like an old European.
Yeah.
It looks too narrow to be, I mean, it might be US. Those are tables along
City,
there.
something city. But anyway,
Okay.
the string lights, places to walk, a place for cars to get through, And then, of course, cafes and things like that would be the back doors of restaurants from Yosemite. We have parking down there. We have spaces for outdoor activities down there. And then this alley kind of project. This attracts a younger crowd. And places like Tijuana Bar and Grill are really excited about having something like that. I think California Grill would too. And so anyway, that's kind of idea. But in order to do something like this, we need to have the city involved, because we're trying to make sure that the curbs and gutters are all lined up and everything is done that needs to be done. We don't interfere with the flow of traffic or that. We think through that. And then we get some lighting up. And so the city administrator told me that, you know, we're going to have to come up with the money for that. I said, oh, okay. Now they're applying for a grant, so that'll help.
Well, the design part is the easy, harder part is
Yes.
between the city and property, business, renting.
Uh-huh.
One thing to put up a light, it's something else to actually conduct business.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad that finally the city's kind of listening to that. And they've done a beautiful job over on Fifth Street, put in the new apartments, all of that. And I think Yosemite's going to look good. Now, if we have a little something to add on the other side, we're sparking some interest, more interesting. So anyway, so it's coming along. We'll see if we get it.
So now the road diet, you know, cars will be going through slower and so forth. And then the idea is that there will be more foot traffic or something, and that will entice people to invest in downtown, or how? I guess I was looking for the next step after, you know, the road diet, because I've seen what it looks like with the road diet. You know,
Mhm.
people are riding bikes and walking and doing all sorts of things, but after you get that in there, something has to happen to attract bicyclists and people walking around. And I guess I was kind of wondering what that next step might be, is economic, because, you know, some of those buildings need to be refurbished and so forth. Or entrepreneurs will say, hey, look, what's going on down here? Let's invest some money.
Right. And that's the trigger, is when does the entrepreneur say, hey, look, this has possibilities and I want to get involved. And when we had, it's been a couple of years ago now, when we had the consultant work with us, he said, you're not going to build something until you get more people out and about. So when we renovate the park, when we get the street kind of redone, when we can activate maybe part of the alley or get some more things going on around, what she's doing at the library, those kind of things, get more people out and about. Food truck Friday nights, the Parks and Rec does that over at Town and Country, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting people out and thinking about it. And then once you get a breakthrough, if somebody actually starts to set something up, then
We
Yeah,
have,
it's-
we have
let's-
somebody online that would like to make a comment when you're done.
okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say that food trucks, you know, I know in different communities, you know, they, like, for instance, where the old McMahon's Furniture is, that vacant lot, that would, if that was paved, you know, and then there was some hookups, electrical hookups and things of that sort, you know, to me, that would be a great place to, for food trucks. And that would be probably the first thing that, you know, bring some things. And then if you closed off East Street, you know, maybe have some music and things like
Right.
that for food trucks, like a gazebo gardens or something like that.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's a good spot in there.
Mhm.
That's not heavily trafficked already,
Right.
you know, and
It- and it-
space.
And it wouldn't require a big capital investment because
Exactly.
people have already invested in trucks and
Right.
things. Mhm. Okay, great. Thank you.
And somebody's online? Welcome, person
Yeah.
online.
Good afternoon, Nick Salinas, Chief of Staff, District 3. A lot of you took some of my talking points, but I think I'll just piggyback with the going back to the feasibility study. One of the components of that study was to, excuse me, find a way to work with the absentee landlords and the vacant buildings. And we've seen Kingsburg do it in a number of ways. And I think the biggest challenge to that question and to actually moving that effort forward is who and when. Is it an effort of the city? Is it an effort of the downtown association? Is it an effort of this authority? Is a question we could probably start to start getting the conversation started at least. But we could do a lot of these. A lot of these things are going to happen in terms of the diet plan and a lot of the improvements we're going to do. But at some point, we'll have to cross the bridge as to how do we get these vacant buildings into thriving and flourishing businesses. And I think Supervisor Ports said before, without an actual present, well and able-bodied landlord, that's typically a really, really big challenge to get those buildings into good shape.
Mhm.
Well, from my perspective, Nick, the answer is real simple. This body has no real authority. The Downtown Association, no real authority. It's the city of Madera that would have to lead that effort to communicate with property owners and decide what that communication is and to what extent it wants to take it. I don't know of anybody else who would. Could is different than the would, but beyond city, can't think of anybody.
I agree. I agree.
And it's
We-
long overdue, from my perspective. But, in all fairness to the property owners, I think that they have to have something to at least feasibly buy into, and not perhaps, but that's the large extent where this board plays some role, as well as each of the public entities, are members of this board, as well as the Arts Council, coming up with the plan that's been discussed. And once it starts to actually come to fruition, for people who can actually see progress being made, such as Yosemite Avenue being worked, then I don't know why downtown property owners get on board except for their own individual civic pride. And if there is some, great, but usually it has to do with dollars and cents. But I do think that the answer to your question has to be reasonably decided before somebody it's makeover, so that the city can act in conjunction with. That's something that we have conversations with city council and city manager.
Mhm. I agree.
Well, yeah, and I think that, yeah, I agree. And the question is with the city, what is their vision of downtown? And sure, we're gonna have this road diet, and we've seen all these markups and so forth about all these great things happening. But is that is that their vision? And then, or is it something else? And is there the political will to move forward on that? Because it's not something that's just going to be casually. It's not going to happen if it's just approached in a casual basis. And it's certainly, we play a part, but it's got to be really a city-led effort, or it's just not going to happen.
I see our role as, because we have the city, the county all here, is to keep pushing and be that voice that's saying, what do you want to do? What's your choices? What are you guys thinking about? How are you going to? That we're the ones who are nudging. We're not the ones that are really doing. But when we have conversations, we come up with things, we're going to start pushing. They begin to accept that and take the bull by the horns, then I think something can happen. Like the county has taken the county park concept, downtown Madera concept, and is making something happen. There will be more people in the park. There will be more activity in the park because of what they're putting there. Now we need the same.
Just another example about what you're talking about. I mean, we can look at the annual report from the Madera County Library, and next Monday at 3 o'clock, we're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony for 7 small houses at the Madera Rescue Mission as far as transitional housing. And that's something that was a county-led effort, along with public health, behavioral health, social services, the Madera Rescue Mission. So it was a public-private type of initiative that's happening, but it was something that leadership made it a priority and was determined to move forward, and with help from different grants and things like that, it's becoming a reality. So, but that's what it takes. I mean, it takes the leadership, to push that forward. It's like what you mentioned about the park and some of these other.
So I'll go ahead and try to get them at the next meeting. Maybe they're not conflicted with other events that day. And they could come and begin to talk with us about what their business in of downtown. The school district, on the other hand, is doing tons of things, promote the arts and making better connections in the community. They've got a lot going on right now. But we need to know what the city's working on.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it's fantastic. The theater productions at
yes.
Torres and
Mhm.
some of the other things have really been good.
Yeah, it has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I hear you say that absentee landlords downtown are one of the barriers to having new businesses pop up?
Correct. Yeah. At one point, well, let me rewind. Supervisor Portis and I were at a conference, and the city of Kingsburg received an award for their downtown revitalization. And what I'm founding, based on my research and trying to, figure out who owns these buildings downtown, is a lot of them are out of town, or perhaps it was owned by an individual who's no longer with us. Then it gets, either put into a trust to where the successor trustees are nowhere to be found, and so forth. Kingsburg had the same sort of challenges, and they came up with a city-led effort that helped them, circumvent those type of situations.
Are they a potential hindrance to development downtown? Because not only are they hard to find, but if they wanted to put a new business in, they'd have to bring their buildings up to code and spend significant monies.
That's a component of it, but let's say if I'm, Nick's Furniture and I really want to get that building on Yosemite and C, and if I can't figure out who to talk to, I mean, the deal's dead on arrival.
Well, I didn't understand what you just said. Could you try that again?
Yeah, if I'm, let's just say I'm, Nick's Mexican restaurant, and I'm looking to come into downtown, and there's a building on, let's say, C and Yosemite that's been vacant for 20 years. If I can't figure out who I need to talk to get a lease going, and I mean, there's just, it just kind of, it ends right there. That building will continue to be a vacant building over years to come.
Yeah, but to me, I guess I look at the flip side of the coin. If you don't know who the building owner is, well, who's paying taxes? And if nobody's paying property taxes, then it seems to me that the city has a vehicle to force the issue. Or am I missing something here?
Yeah, I think you're more and more likely correct than anything. It's just, we don't know, and I don't know if that's, what that situation's looked like behind closed doors.
Well, it's interesting because, there is a building on that corner.
It
It's-
hasn't been.
It has been vacant for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder, I wouldn't want to be sitting in that building paying property taxes for 30 years and nothing going on. I'd want to find a tenant. So anyway, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. Although he hasn't taken any steps and that's a local owner. Doesn't take
across the
any,
street.
right.
Okay, then.
When you were talking, I was wondering if Kingsburg had, a real estate approach. Any kind of, did they have a way where they identified potential owners, properties and businesses and tried to recruit businesses down to downtown?
Yeah, and their revitalization strategy, a major component of it was, figuring out who these out of town or absentee landlords were, and finding a way to, I don't know what the answer was, but they found a way to either get a hold of them, incentivize them, work with them, and basically get these businesses back opened up. We didn't get far enough into to know exactly what the secret sauce was.
Okay. What I see a lot of, some of in Madera is businesses that, like restaurants, that are looking for a place to be and, or they've got to move. And I don't hear them looking at downtown. And I'm wondering if it's not even in their radar to look at downtown. If they think they're going to have better business, in another part of town or something. Because we don't do anything to advertise a vision, I think.
I think one of the problems is just from a practical dollars and cents, some of these buildings are in such bad shape, to renovate. I mean, the costs just be astronomical and to bring them around. I mean, it's almost like if there wasn't a building, it'd be much better. I think more people would be interested, but I think that's one of the barriers,
Yep. Okay, well, I'll try to see if we can get the city to come back.
Mhm.
They've got a couple of really good people on the staff now in community development and all.
Mhm.
And so might be interested to see what they're thinking. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll work on that. Anything else for the good of the order from folks? Okay, then in January, we'll have the set the calendar and officer. Okay, anything else? Well,
January 22nd.
January 22nd is that fourth Monday, right? Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
A gavel.